So one of the things I wanted to catch before I lose the light is all of these little nail and screw holes in the walls. I definitely don't want those when we go ahead and paint. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get out some patch and try to smooth those over and fill them in so that they don't show up when I paint this place. I also just got to point out some of the fine craftsmanship the previous homeowners who built this space have So check out our breaker panel over here. Yep, that's installed properly, and I'm sure that's to code. There's also some phone and Ethernet. At first I thought, oh, maybe they just yanked it out when they left. Nope, they just never really put this in. There was like shit just plugged in and dangling. I mean, there's no way that was actually in the wall, ever. Lots of loose connections over here. I have no idea what the hell they were thinking. Oh, while I'm on the what the hell were they thinking, check this out. We've got an air conditioner in here, which is awesome because, you know, it gets hot here, but there is a freaking open gap to the outside. This was not installed properly. I have a strong feeling I'm gonna be yanking that bad boy out if I can. So, yeah. When it comes to stuff like that and this, if you don't know what you're doing, hire a professional. Don't do it yourself. You're gonna burn your house down or just look, I mean, I'm surprised there's no water damage from this freaking AC unit just being open. You can see daylight coming in there. What the actual? All right, day 2. Now it's time to put up our brand colors on the wall. I've got a couple of gallons of our different brand colors ready to go. And you can see I've got stuff taped off. I'm gonna leave the ceiling, the primer white for now, just as an experiment before I get too nuts with the brown color. I wanna see how it looks, see if it brightens up the space to not have the dark color on the ceiling. But I wanted to share before we get into the whole rest of this episode, a couple of things I learned from yesterday's experiment in priming this room. Number one, I freaking hate painting. And it shows. The job that I did was not great, at least according to my standards. You might be able to see some of the splotchiness back here. One of the things that I did wrong yesterday is I didn't trust I didn't trust the process. And so I wound up using way more primer than I should have. As evidenced by the fact that when I got up and came out to the office this morning, the paint was still wet in some spots. So I opened up everything and let it dry out for a couple of hours, and I think we're good to go now. So if you are looking for professional tips on how to paint your spaces, this ain't the channel for you. Next time, I'm definitely gonna hire one of those $50 per room folks that you see on the flyers around town every once in a while. I just don't like it. I don't want to yuck your yum, but painting is not my jam. So the other thing that I learned is that when you're using a sprayer, things get messy. So before I go into painting with my brand brown, I'm going to go full hazmat. All right, so we're back in the admin offices for one tiny problem, and I'm just waiting for paint dry. And one thing I can tell you for sure, the next worst thing to watching paint dry is watching someone paint. So I did that off camera and just waiting. I got a timer set for 2 hours. We'll see how it does. Just a quick note for comparison, it took me a full gallon of primer in order to do the 3 walls in my space, whereas it took me a little more than half a can of my brown to do the same 3 walls. And so I'm learning as I go and learning by doing, which I encourage you all to try. Failure is always an option. So
while we're waiting for the paint to dry, I am going to walk you through my color selection and how I got the information to Home Depot in a way that they could match my colors perfectly. I went to my local store and looked at a bunch of different color chips. Nothing really matched up to my colors. So I said, well, I've got the hex code. Can I just give them the hex code? And even though the internet said yes, the person at the counter said no. But I did have a little hack that I used in order to get them information in order to match my colors perfectly. So I'm going to show you that right now. Before we move on, here's a quick invitation to like and subscribe to the channel to keep more content coming your way. And don't forget to hit that bell so you'll be notified when more cool videos are released. As part of the brand redesign for One Tiny Problem, one of the things that I started off with was selecting a color palette. And you can see here that I have pulled the hex values for future reference for each of the 3 brand colors that I've identified. I did this in Illustrator, but you can basically do this in any design tool of your choice. Pulling the hex colors is as simple as just finding the object, in this case we'll take the brown, and then using whatever tool is at your disposal. Again, in this case, Illustrator. I'll go over to the Properties tab, click on the fill color, and in the palette view, you can see the hex value right there. You can also see the CMYK values. If you're using a tool like Photoshop, this will probably be given to you in RGB. Now, this wasn't enough for me to just hand over to the folks at Home Depot at the paint counter and have them mix me a perfect match. What I had to do as an interim step, which I just sort of found by accident through a Google search for hex code color paint mix, something to that effect, I found the Sherwin-Williams Color Snap Visualizer. As you can see here, this app runs on iPhone and Android. I'm running it on an iPhone, and I was able to, as you can see here, pull up a PNG that I sent out of Illustrator and use it to feed the colors to Color Snap. I was then able to get an exact color name and Sherwin-Williams paint number that I could then give over to the folks at Home Depot. Why didn't I just go with Sherwin-Williams if they were so nice as to give me this amazing tool? I would love to, but their paint is almost twice as much per gallon as the other brands that you can get at your local hardware store. So this was my way around it. And big shout to Abina at my local Home Depot, who, after we got to talking a little bit, told me, if you can give me the exact Sherwin-Williams name or number, I can mix that paint for you exactly.
All right. So our brown is up, losing the light, but I wanted to capture the work. Could be a lot better. I left this wall white for now. I think I'm going to put my accent color of peach over there. And I think I'm going to keep the ceiling white, as I mentioned before. Coming along nicely. Got to figure out what I'm doing with that air conditioner, because that is going to make painting that corner a lot easier in terms of taping things off. But I'm happy with the way that it's coming together. And I think once my touch-up work is dry, that I'm good to go to start putting in the furniture. So phase 1 done. Lots learned along the way. And I'm done painting though. It is what it is. I am not going to let perfection be the enemy of the good. And right now I'll settle for good enough. I think we are done with the paint and time to get some furniture in here. I'm super stoked to get the cameras set up. So I'm going to try to work a little bit later into the night tonight to get that done, and probably knock out the rest tomorrow. So stay tuned. Of course, remember to hit that like button, subscribe button, and of course, ring the bell so you will know when the next video drops. Deuces.